Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Park Views with Brad Hughes. I am your host, Brad Hughes. That's me. That's why, this is the show. Today, I have a very special guest from her very own podcast that I have nothing to do with. Sugar Free and Smiling, Molly Eckhart is joining the show today. Molly, how are you?
I'm great, Brad. How are you?
I'm great.
Really?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm doing good. I watched Pulp Fiction today. It's been a good day. Technically a Disney movie. Technically.
This is the third time I've heard that.
I know. I keep saying it because it's a weird fact, but it's true. Disney owned Miramax when that was released, so technically Pulp Fiction is a Disney movie, and I'm hoping they retheme Splash Mountain to Pulp Fiction. That's my dream. So it's been a while since I've done a Park Views with Brad Hughes podcast, simply because A, Star Wars is more fun. B, there hasn't been a ton of Disney park news, but that's changed recently.
Correct.
There's been a lot of stuff like within the last few days, so we're going to dive into a bunch of stuff here. But before we do that, I'd like Molly to talk a little bit about her podcast, Sugar Free and Smiling, and a little bit of what she does. So if you're interested in that, you can check her show out. So run with the show.
Well, thank you. I wasn't expecting that. And I've already had my first of the day, and Brad's not going to edit them out. So I'm sorry, people.
If you listen to her
happens a lot.
podcast, listen to her podcast. I want to tell you this, and this is 100% a fact. I have spent more time editing
Yikes.
the 3 episodes that we've done together on Sugar Free and Smiling than I have the entire 500 episodes I've done of this feed.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. It's just a different type of show. This is more, say whatever you want, things that are horrible, and, get fired from your job 2 years later kind of show.
Well, a lot of us don't have jobs to get fired from, so we don't have to worry about that.
You're not getting fired from this, so you're fine.
Anyways, my podcast is Sugar Free and Smiling. I've had type 1 diabetes since I was 12 years old, and it is an immersive podcast about everything diabetes, whether it comes to parenthood, having children, relationships, anything that you could think of. Our next episode is actually going to be about my diabetes alert dog. His name is Bunker, and he was trained to be able to tell me when my blood sugar is high or low, or when I need something, and physical training that goes on with him. So if you're interested, it is Sugar Free and Smiling. Thank God Brad is around to help me. There it goes again. Edit.
What?
To be able to edit everything. So if you'd like to check it out, we'd love to have you over there.
I'm going to call this an episode some park news.
Don't you dare.
We got a lot of stuff to get into. Do you want
you did it too.
Oh, people say all the time. That's the thing. You can't edit every little We're going to get into the first story here. The first story is probably the biggest Disney park news, I think, in a long time. Outside of D23, outside of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, this is probably the biggest park news that's happened in a long time.
Are we almost there?
We're almost there. I'm getting to the headline. I took me a second. I was like, what?
Gotcha.
Splash Mountain is getting a retheme to Princess and the Frog. And the cool thing about this is, yes, they're getting rid of this, but the cool thing is they are bringing Tony Baxter, who designed Splash Mountain in the first place, back to do some of the retheme. So that's a really interesting idea. What do you think about all this?
I mean, I think we should dig a little deeper into it.
Oh!
I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. I think this is amazing. Princess and the Frog is one of my all-time favorite movies. It's that and Tangled. Those are my go-tos. I was talking with Brad last week on my podcast how I love the music from Princess and the Frog. Mm-hmm. It was Randy Newman who did it, I believe. Mm-hmm. And which was a big change because for the past 20 years, Alan Menken has been, producing hit after hit after hit for every single Disney movie. And
including
then we get
Home on the Range.
Yes.
The critically acclaimed film, Home on the Range.
And so now we get this, this New Orleans, the jazz, the culture. We get this from Randy Newman, which we're used to Randy Newman Toy Story. Like, that's, what he's been known for.
You got offended me.
That's exactly. So I think that this ride is just going to be amazing if they do it right with all the music. And if Mama Odie's not in there, I'm going to be real upset. But they have Shadow Man. They just have so much that they can do with it. And especially on Splash Mountain, there's no better place for it to be. Being able to turn that into the bayou and have spooky parts, and that's thunder.
That's
right?
thunder, yeah. It's bad thunder. I don't know if y'all heard that. That was really rough. I was like
rough thunder.
Uh-oh.
So I think that since they're bringing, the original Imagineers back in to help kind of revamp the ride, that they're going to keep the nostalgia of Splash Mountain, but they're also going to be able to pull off having Princess and the Frog. And it's about time that Tiana gets a ride. I mean, I think that this is great. And I can't wait I just can't wait because I'm going to sing the whole time. So. Yeah,
I'm conflicted on this one because, like I said on your show, when we brought this up, I think the day it released, I think it was the same day, right?
Yeah, it was literally 2 hours afterwards.
Yeah. Splash Mountain, if you take Haunted Mansion out of the equation, because that's just like my goat, you can't mess with it. Mm-hmm. I don't think Splash Mountain is my second favorite ride of all time, right behind Rise of the Resistance. Mm-hmm. That ride means so much to me. It was like the ride that we loved coming and doing when we would come to Disney World. It's got a seminal spot in my heart. It has like nothing to do with Song of the South.
Right.
But I get it. Mm-hmm. Like that movie's horrific. Have you seen Song of the South?
Yes, we talked about this last week.
Okay.
Horrific.
I can remember. There's a character in the film named the Tar Baby. Like it's rough. Like it's not even like kind of racist. It's full on racist. Like Misa gonna tell Brer Rabbit about it's rough. If you've never seen it, it's not a good movie. Don't waste your time. Like it's not even like shockingly horrific. It's just bad. It's just a bad movie. I don't recommend it. It's not a good movie at all. If it was racist and like still a good movie like Gone with the Wind, where it's like still a great movie, I get it. It's a sign of the time. It takes place in that era. I get it. But this movie is just not a good movie. Like it doesn't work. That being said, if they don't go full in on this and make this a good attraction, this is going to be a problem because because you've just killed everybody's childhood and made it in a bad way. Like I remember like finding out that Song of the South wasn't just like a Disney ride, like Pirates of the Caribbean. It's like an original Disney thing, right? Like I remember finding out that it was a movie, and I was like, "Well, that's a movie. What movie is it? I've never seen it." I thought I knew all Disney films, and I think I found that out when I was like 11 or 12 because I did a presentation on Walt Disney for school, and I remember being like, "That ride is so great, but this movie's terrible." Right. Like I think my mom had a VHS copy of Song of the South. Like we saw it. Like I feel like that's a thing. What, the VHSs were a thing? No, that she had a VHS. I can't remember when I saw it for the first time. I know it was when I was a kid, but I don't remember how I saw it. I think. I was a kid. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. You know what? I could be thinking of like the sing-along VHSs now that I say that.
Oh, those are my favorite.
Yeah, it could be that, but I feel like I saw the whole movie. Head? Yeah. They need to put those on Disney Plus. Side note. Another two thing, like Zippity, they should for sure. Zippity Doo-Dah is like a classic Disney park song, like because it wasn't a hit like when it came out, but it's just transcended that movie, and I think that's why some people are upset. But I think that there are bigger issues than retheming a movie that doesn't have anything to do with retheming a ride that has nothing to do with the source material. I mean, it does with the same characters, but even the voices of the characters aren't the same. Right. Like if you go back and listen to Brer Rabbit talk in the movie, it doesn't sound anything like the character. Like they went out of their way to make it as least offensive as possible. I mean, even Brer Frog isn't a character in the movie. He takes the place of Uncle Remus as like setting up the story. So I get it, but I also go like, I love that ride. Right. If they do this in Disneyland, when they do this in Disneyland, it makes way more sense. Because are they projected to release it at DLR first, or I haven't seen which one's going to come first. I would imagine that Disneyland's comes first simply because they're still closed, and they're going to close, or they could be later then because they said that it's going to reopen at Splash Mountain again when the parks reopen. Right. I don't know how long. This could be 5 years away. This could be 8 years away. Who knows how long this is going to be? It's a long time. But I need it now. I don't need it now. I want to enjoy Splash Mountain a few more times. I got my hands on a 360 camera today. I'm going to go do like a 360 video of it. Oh, nice. I love Splash Mountain. Like I really, really do. I'm a little torn because it doesn't make sense at all at Disney World. It does in Disneyland because what they can do is it's right next to the Haunted Mansion. They can just move the map, around. Like I said on your podcast, they can gerrymander into Critter Country and make it a part of New Orleans Square, which would make sense. Down in the bayou. But then you have like the three best rides at Disneyland, other than Rise of the Resistance, that are in New Orleans Square. You have Pirates, Haunted Mansion, and Splash Mountain. And that's like the best land ever. Like, what are they going to rename the ride to? Is my question. I don't know. Do we have predictions for that? Tiana's Rootin' Tootin' Float Ride. That's what we'll have to do it here. We'll have to do it here in Frontierland because it doesn't make any sense at Disney World in Frontierland. Zero. Antebellum South
know,
and the
but-
Frontier West are. It's not even on the same thing on the map. It's way off. Like I don't understand how they're going to pull that off.
I don't know.
I wouldn't be shocked if we get like a slight retheme of Frontierland to fit this, because this is the anchor attraction. I mean, Big Thunder Mountain's really important too.
Absolutely.
But I wouldn't be surprised if you see like that little area become its own land, like the area around it. Like maybe they make Pecos Bill like Tiana's place and kind of retheme all that, and then keep like Frontierland as Tom Sawyer's Island and Big Thunder Mountain.
I was going to say, are they going to do something with Tom Sawyer Island
I don't know.
where
Close it and do anything
they make
else.
it a bayou? I like Tom Sawyer Island.
You're the only person.
That's not true. I like to take Connor over there and let him run around because there are less people over there. And
true.
He's not going to get snatched and he can just go and explore. It's perfect for young kids.
Oops.
Oh,
Um,
that's you.
that was me. It was my. I thought I turned that off. Apple Watch. Stupid Apple Watch.
Mm.
I don't know. I'm so torn because I love Princess and the Frog so much. I think out of all the Disney rides other than Tangled, this movie deserves a ride. But I don't think it. I think it deserves a ride more than it deserves a retheme of an existing ride. Like I kind of just want them to make their own
Almost
attraction.
like Ratatouille.
What do you mean?
Well, because I mean, Ratatouille didn't have its own ride, and instead of revamping something that was going on in France, they went ahead and they made a whole ride.
No, I'm saying, but they made a whole new ride. Like
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're saying they should do that with Princess and the Frog.
No,
Because that's what I think. I don't think they need to go into an existing attraction and just retheme
I think
something.
you're just butthurt.
I am a little butthurt. I'm sure that and I'm not on Twitter anymore, so it makes me very happy that I don't have to be called a racist now because I'm not 100% on board. I'm like 98% on board for this. I just love Splash Mountain that much.
I love Splash Mountain too, but I think that this is gonna. Like we said before, what were the words that we used?
Reluctantly optimistic.
Yes, reluctantly optimistic.
I think they should call it Tiana's River Run.
No, because then that sounds like the Gate River Run that they have in
hang on.
Jacksonville.
But here's why they should call it that. It would tie it back into and be like a reference to Splash Mountain.
Yeah,
Because Splash Mountain was supposed to be called initially Zippity Doo Dah River Run. Do you know why they called it Splash Mountain?
That's too much. No,
Do you know
why
why
did they
so they called it Splash Mountain because Michael Eisner was trying to promote the movie Splash when the attraction came out and made them call it Splash Mountain. They wanted to put a mermaid in there and they're like, that doesn't make any sense to the ride. We're not putting that in there. But we'll call it Splash Mountain because you still get wet. And that's literally why it's called Splash Mountain.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Horrible idea. I love Michael Eisner, but that's a real hard miss. I don't know. I'm going to buy all the Splash Mountain merchandise. I'm sad.
You know what? You'll be okay and you'll get through it.
I'm sure. Here's the thing. I know opening day, I'm going to be there 100%. Like I'm excited.
yeah.
I'm excited for the new stuff.
I feel bad for the person who has to sit next to me because it's going to be.
Almost there.
Yeah, I'm
See,
gonna be singing at the
I
top of
wonder
my
if they're going to
lungs.
just make it like they do those classic Disney attractions where you just live through the ride again or live through the movie on a ride. That's going to be boring. I want them to do something else. I want them to do something more unique. I want them to do like make the ride a sequel. Because they're not doing sequels anymore. That's kind of what Frozen Ever After. That's kind of what Frozen Ever After is. Frozen Ever After is not you're not riding through the movie.
But you kind of are.
You kind of are, but you're not. It's kind of like they're retelling the story in a way.
Well, I think that's what they're going to do with.
Oh, God, I hope not. That ride is so long too.
It's very long.
Do you think they completely just gut the show scenes and keep the ride and everything else like the track layout the same, or do you think they're going to completely gut the entire attraction?
No, I think especially after the pandemic, I don't think they're going to cut the track layout. I think they're going to keep the track layout as is and then go from there.
I think they have to keep it. I mean, how much money do you want to put into this? And at a certain point, if you're putting all this money into it, why wouldn't you just make a new attraction? I don't think you can tell the best
more
story.
To make a new attraction.
Yeah, but like, just do it. I mean, it's an investment, right? So over a certain period, if the ride's good, people will ride it, and you'll make money off merchandise.
Yeah, but they're thinking the same thing about Splash Mountain.
I
if the
know.
ride's good,
I know.
Look at the money we saved.
This could just go horribly wrong.
You're being so negative.
Just sad.
Don't be sad. You'll get to ride it again in Splash Mountain.
I know.
But I think it's good that they're trying to revamp things and do new things.
I agree. I'm local. I love new stuff. I'm all on. I'm so torn because I'm really excited for this. I love Princess and the Frog, but like, do I like Princess and the Frog more than I like? Do I like Princess and the Frog more than I like Splash Mountain? I don't know. I don't know. That's a tough one. Am I willing to risk risk Splash Mountain for a Princess and the Frog ride that might be good?
Yes.
You are?
Yes. Absolutely.
Wow. What if this
I
ride
told
comes
you.
out and it sucks?
Then obviously I will be eating my words on that. But other than that, I just think it's going to be, I don't know. I think I'm really optimistic about it. I think that they're going to take their time and they're going to put all of the thought and everything that they need to do into this ride.
Yeah. I hope so. I don't know. There's just something about it that doesn't, like Disneyland, 100% on board. 100% on board.
Because
Here,
it's Disneyland, you don't have to deal with it as much.
but I go to Disneyland a lot. Like, I would love for it to fit in as well as it's going to fit in at Disneyland. Like, if we had a New Orleans Square and it was going in there, I'd be 100%. It just doesn't make any sense to me in Frontierland. Like, it just, if you really think about it, it
they're
doesn't.
going to revamp a lot of it. I mean, just think
so?
about the walkway from, where the parade route starts. I think that they're going
I have to,
to have to revamp a lot of that.
Now, back in the day when I was on the guest experience team, I remember talking to a guy who had just finished up. This is insider stuff. I remember talking to a guy. I don't remember his name. Let's just say his name was John. I don't know if it was or not. Bob, John, whatever generic name you want to go with. Johnny Bob. John Bob. Bobby John. When I was talking to Bobby John, and I commented on his hat. He had on a Star Wars Galaxy's Edge team project something hat. And I was like, dude, where'd you get that? He's like, oh, we work over at Galaxy's Edge. And I remember I talked to him a few minutes before there was anybody in the park. I was like, is it, because it was before it came out. I was like, is it as good as, we're hoping is? He goes, it's going to blow your mind. I was like, awesome. I was like, what are you doing in Magic Kingdom? And he goes, oh, we're working on something for Frontierland. And I was like, oh, what are you working on? He's like, I can't really say.
And this is what it is.
And I was like, okay. And I remember he was taking photos of the backside of Pecos Bill. So, like, if you're walking the parade route, like where it starts by Splash Mountain, he was walking to the right, like by where the fry cart is, taking pictures of all that stuff. Now that I've literally just thought about this right now. Now that I'm thinking about this, I'm wondering if this is like I said,
it's going to be a revamp.
Something, a complete retheme of Frontierland.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I want that, though, because I like that New Orleans Square is special to Disneyland.
I agree with that.
I like that. I don't want to go all the way to Los Angeles and do everything the same as it is here. It defeats the purpose of going to a new place.
Right.
So I like having these little differences. But if it makes the overall theme of what's here that I'll experience on a daily basis better, I'm in. I'm really contradicting myself on every point I make.
Yes.
But
that's why I'm just sitting here saying, yep, yep,
but
yep.
That's how I feel. Like, I don't want it to stand out. I don't want it to feel weird. I want it to be a good attraction. I'm thinking it's going to be good. The fact that they're bringing Tony Baxter back shows that they're really trying, and they're including the guy who made Splash Mountain a thing. I'm in. I just, please don't fuck this up. Please, dear God in heaven, don't fuck this up.
Please don't be ugly.
God, please don't be bad. I will say the concept art looks beautiful, like with the tree on top of Chickapin Hill. It looked really good, and I think it's going to be a very cool attraction. I just really hope they don't go projection heavy like Mickey and Minnie. I want animatronics, but I don't want the glowy face animatronics.
Like Frozen Ever After?
Yeah, but I think you have to because there's a lot of indoor stuff, so I think you kind of have to. Unless they use the technology that they used for the Belle ride over at, I think it's Tokyo, where they're getting the Beauty and the Beast ride. I want that. Give me that.
No, I want Tiana.
You don't want a Beauty and the Beast ride? No, we're getting Tiana already.
Tiana.
We're getting Tiana already. But wouldn't you also love a Beauty and the Beast ride in Fantasyland? Like, instead of Enchanted Tales with Belle, you get a freaking Beauty and the Beast dark ride that's state of the art. Come on.
That would be pretty cool.
Come on. Give me that.
That would be very cool.
All right.
They can't. I hope they use all the music. That's like my favorite soundtrack.
So it's one. I rewatched it the other
It's
night
my favorite to sing. It's my favorite to do everything. Like
with my nieces. We watched it, and I was just like, I forgot how good this music is. It's so good. And I was thinking too, like, there's this scene where they first run into, oh God, what's his name? Ramon. Ramon? Is that his name? The Firefly? Ramon, right? Okay. They run into Ramon, and it's like all these little lightning bugs, and I'm like,
Mhm.
they're going to use that in the attraction 100%.
They better.
Because it's super easy. It's just LED lights. Like, you could easily do that.
That's the one song that I could do without, like Evangeline.
Evangeline, it's
I
not
don't
the best.
need.
My
I don't
sweet
need Evangeline.
Evangeline.
I don't need Evangeline, but
The Fireflies have to be in there.
the Fireflies have to be in there. Like, I hope that they do something with that with Dig a Little Deeper, because Dig a Little Deeper is just so good. But I mean, just everything, you know. Almost
I want a
there.
heavy presence of Shadow Man, Dr. Facilier. I want him in there a lot.
Yes.
He's one of the best Disney villains ever.
Mm-hmm.
That,
I agree.
That on the other side, the animation alone
Yes.
is just unreal.
Doom, doom,
The colors
doom,
and stuff.
doom,
Oh my God,
doom,
it's perfect.
doom. I
All
love
right, well,
that.
we did 20 minutes on Princess and the Frog. I could do an hour on this because I love it so much.
I know.
I would actually like to maybe sit down with you, maybe one other person, and like give our pitch for what a Princess and the Frog ride would be, how you would change it, because I think this is a really interesting idea.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel like this is just a simple like. It made sense with
It's
Maelstrom
not going to be
because
simple at all.
no, I don't think so. It made sense with Maelstrom where they're like it's Norway kind of tied into Frozen. Frozen's the
Well,
biggest
yeah,
animated film
like
of all
Norway,
time. Blah blah
hello.
blah. It's interesting to me that they're doing Princess and the Frog anyway because it wasn't a financial hit. Like it didn't do well in theaters,
Mm-hmm.
and it's weird to me that they're doing a movie that they. It is that it's not because Hocus Pocus didn't do well in theaters either. Now there's a Hocus
Oh my
Pocus stage
gosh.
show, and Mickey and Minnie's Not So Scary Halloween
But look
Party.
at Cars Land. I mean,
Yeah, but
God, people wanted to
I
just
hate that
walk
movie.
out of Cars 2, 3,
Cars.
7, 19, and
Cars 2 is
45, but-
unwatchable. It's bad. I watched it with my son for the first time. He didn't know about Cars 2,
Mhm.
and it was terrible. So Princess and the Frog was a $105 million budget because it was the first time they brought back the hand-drawn animation. John Lasseter made a big deal about it. There's actually like the pitch that initially came out, they've changed the story quite a bit for reasons that I'm not going to get into here because it's just a long story and it's been told better in other places, so I don't want to get to that. But it cost $105 million to do, and it made $207 at the box office. So it's I know we're sitting here going $100 million. Okay, that's cool, but like $105 million was
Yeah.
just the production budget plus advertising. They factor all that into how a movie
Right.
does. It didn't do well. It probably actually lost the company money. The movie that was the other hand-drawn animation movie that went up against, or that they did in addition to Princess and the Frog, was the Winnie the Pooh movie that came out
Right.
where Zooey Deschanel did the music, and it was
Mhm.
terrible.
It was what?
Terrible.
Why are we whispering?
Because it's bad.
I thought we could say anything out loud on this podcast.
I said it out loud into the microphone. It's bad. The movie I haven't seen.
Is it
but
because you have
the
a
movie
thing
is
for
bad.
Zoe and you don't want her to hear what you're saying?
No, if I had a
Okay.
thing for Zoe, I'd be like, it was so great. I'd be a simp. But
You
I'm,
would be.
I'm not. No, how dare you? How dare you? I'm a man. I drive a Jeep Wrangler. Okay, listen to me.
Oh, wow.
Listen, I'm a man. All right.
Okay, go
Now,
ahead.
please let me finish my topic because I'm a man. And I have to say please to
I'm
women.
sorry, that was terrible.
It didn't do well, but the other movie didn't do well either because they put it up against the last Harry Potter movie, the the Winnie the Pooh. They put up against what's the last movie called? No, not Philosopher's Stone. It's called. Hang on, don't tell me. It's called Deathly Hallows Part 2. That's the name of the movie.
Yes.
And it went up against that and it didn't do well. So
I have a protein bar in my mouth. I'm sorry. I couldn't say it, and
okay.
I was trying to let him get there by himself.
I figured it out.
Deathly Hallows Part 2. Yeah, no, that was just marketing on their part.
Yeah, just bad. And I don't know if we'll ever see hand-drawn animation again. I hope we do. I think Moana would have been a great hand-drawn animated movie.
No.
What?
Mm-mm.
You don't think that... You think it's better CGI? You're crazy. You're crazy.
I think it's better CGI.
How weird is it that Moana got an attraction before Princess and the Frog did?
I mean, Moana's attraction isn't technically open yet, so
It probably got cut. That's fair. That's fair. The Epcot thing probably isn't happening.
She didn't get an interaction
Yeah.
before Tiana did. It was announced maybe 6 months beforehand. Or how long has it been? I don't know.
It was about a year ago. D23 was about a year ago. It was last... I remember that was the really rough weekend for me. I was working for Inside the Magic, and we were on our computers at like every time something dropped, we had to write an article about it. I wrote like
A lot.
15 articles in a weekend, which is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was that many. It may not have been that many, but yeah, it was a lot. Wow, Little Mermaid only made $40 million US.
What did?
Little Mermaid. That was 88 though.
88.
Oh, that was the budget. Sorry, budget was $40 million. I'm fascinated by like budget and how much the movie actually makes. It's interesting to me. All right, enough Princess and the Frog talk. We'll move on to something else. I have other thoughts, but I'll leave them for another time.
Dreams do
I
come
also
true in
want to say
Orleans.
this. I've heard a lot of people saying that like this was in a reaction from Disney to the petition that was going around about change this into Princess and the Frog. That's not how Disney works.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't react to things like that
They're proactive.
with
They're not
these.
reactive.
Yes. They weren't looking at the petition going around and going like, well, we need to change this. I guarantee you the fact that they had Tony Baxter involved, that's not a phone call. That's like
Yeah.
months and months and months of preparation for this.
Well,
So
and you think about it when you were still on the guest relations team and he was there working on it, like
Yeah.
it was put into motion. And this has been a long time.
this has been a long time.
They're just not.
They
going
happened to get it right.
come out and announce it and be like, "Oh, guess what?"
Yeah.
Like the minute he's taking
the people who were
photos.
saying that this needs to be changed to Prince of the Frog just happened to get lucky and guess the right attraction and guess the right movie that it was getting rethemed to.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be fooled. This is not in reaction to that. This was something that had gone on for a while. And by the time we find out about it, I've always said it's about a 2 or 3 year planning period before we find out about it.
I agree.
So
And no, yes.
that's all I got to say. All right, next story here. Let me delete these notes. This is interesting. Oga's Cantina will not be reopening when Hollywood Studios reopens, and neither will Savi's Workshop. But Droid Depot will be. That makes no sense to me. Have you done any of these experiences that I just said?
No.
You haven't been to Oga's yet?
I just said no.
That makes me sad for you.
I've been to Galaxy's Edge. I told you that.
You've been to Galaxy's Edge, but you haven't done Droid
Yes.
Builder, you haven't done Savi's, and you haven't done Oga's.
No,
So
because
have you really been to Galaxy's
every
Edge?
time I've been to Galaxy's Edge, okay, there's only been one time when I didn't have my child with me. So it's hard to do all of those things when you have a wild ass toddler who
Yawn, I'm hearing excuses.
whatever. Listen, I took my pass and I went and I rode help me here. I haven't gotten to do Rise of the Resistance yet, but I did get to do the Millennium Falcon.
What'd you think about Falcon? No, you're okay. When I say casual Star Wars fan, I would even call you a fan. I'd say you're aware of the movies. You know Star Wars
that is
exists.
exactly it, and that's when we started talking. Like I literally said to him, I'm like, I literally know nothing about Star Wars. Like I was laying in the hospital because he and I had to converse about some other situation that had happened. We were both cast members. I had run into him at the park, and we were talking about something, and I was like, no, I'm stuck in the hospital. Like, well, maybe now's the time that Disney Plus is out. I should probably just watch the series. And,
Have you?
Where do I start? No.
We should watch The Force Awakens.
I've seen The Force Awakens.
Have you seen Last Jedi?
I have not seen Last Jedi.
That's my favorite.
I can
I
tell.
love that movie. Okay, we should
It
watch
looks
that.
like Santa
All
Claus
right, this
just popped
podcast
in
is
the room.
over. We're going to let's go watch The Last Jedi. It's not over. We'll watch it
It's
after this.
not over yet. But so I've only been in Galaxy's Edge one time.
So do you
when I was with-
understand all the like what's happening? Do you know where you are in Star
You're in
Wars?
Batu, right?
Like, but do you know when and where? Like
No.
okay, so this is how I always
I
explain
told
Star
him that I
Wars.
was going to be a terrible guest for this part. So
It's okay. Let me explain to you something
Okay,
about
go.
Star Wars. So Star Wars storytelling takes place on a timeline. It starts all the way from about 200 or 300 years before the prequel movie, so episode 1, 2, and 3, and it goes anywhere up until episode 9. There's not much after episode 9. There's like a comic book or two, but who cares? Let's just say, for argument's sake, episode 9.
That's a lot of math.
So there's 11 Star Wars movies as of right now. Episode 1 through 9, Rogue One, Solo. Yeah, there's 11 Star Wars movies. So anywhere on that timeline, at any point, you can tell a story. So it doesn't have to be in order, right?
Right.
Because the original trilogy came out, it was episodes 4, 5, and 6. Then the prequels 1, 2, and 3. And then we had 7, 8, 9. So we had 7, Rogue One, 8, Solo, 9. So it kind of went back and forth. It's a little confusing if you don't know about it.
You think?
But you have to look at a timeline and go, okay, that's why I love the book so much, because most of the books, if you open the front part of it, they'll tell you where it takes place in the Star Wars timeline. So you can go, boom, got it. You don't have to figure it out in the story. Batu takes place in between episode 8 and episode 9. So it's right after the Resistance has fled and they've destroyed Snoke's ship. They've won the Battle of Crate and they fled, right? So it's their next outpost where they're finding refuge, and they're trying to recruit the local people of Batuu to help the resistance out so they can build their numbers back up, because at the end of The Last Jedi, there's like 13 people left in the resistance. So that's where you're at.
He just spoke to me in a foreign language.
So that's where you're at, and it's before episode 9. So if you walk up to Rey, even though episode 9's already come out, in Batuu and talk to her about being Rey Skywalker, she's going to go, what? Wait, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, they're in character to that level where they literally are not allowed to talk about anything up to episode 9. There's a few things that have been a few books that take place on Batuu and like right before and right after Batuu. And I would like to like quiz them and be like, do you know about this character? And see if they know who I'm talking about. They're what?
I have a question.
I have an answer.
So when all of this was going on, and because I remember seeing the announcements like of the Disney executives going up to people and being like, you've been selected to work in Batuu. Like, why didn't you do this? Or did you?
I didn't want to. So
Why?
I wasn't offered. I didn't try because I love Star Wars so much. I didn't want to turn it into work. You know, working at Disney as a whole is fine, but I wanted this one special thing that I knew nothing about because I avoided spoilers. I didn't know really what it looked like. I would do certain things like I watch like concept art, which is not how reality looks. But I would look at concept art, but I wouldn't look at like spoilers and stuff that were coming out. I wanted one thing at Disney to be like a sacred thing, where it was just like, I don't look at it as work. It's a brand new thing.
But you never ever had a drive to do that, to be like, it would be so cool to work here.
Zero drive.
Okay.
Zero. Don't care. Didn't want to. I mean, I care about it, but I don't want to work there. I wanted it to be its own. I wanted it to be my thing where I go, and I don't see people I know. You know what I mean? Where like, hey, it's my buddy that I work with. Like, I don't want it to be that. I wanted it to be a special thing. So
has anyone ever asked you that before? I'm sure everyone has.
People that I worked with, yeah, they're like, why don't you do it? And they're like, come on, don't you want to apply for Galaxy's Edge? Now, I did work at Hollywood Studios while Galaxy's Edge was open. When on the guest experience team, a few of us went over there to help out because we thought it was going to be busy, and it wasn't. Because Rise didn't open with the land, and people kind of thought Star Wars Galaxy's Edge was a dud, and it wasn't. People were waiting for Rise, appropriately so. I agree with that 100%. Well, it's not true because I flew out to Disneyland knowing damn well it was going to open here like 6 months later and went to the opening there. But
I still haven't been on Rise.
What?
Yeah, I haven't been on it yet.
Did you get a reservation to go on any of the days?
I can't go on it because Connor can't go on it.
Okay. We're going to find a day where we can I'll pay for a babysitter and I'll leave him with Holly. And you and me are going to go ride that ride.
That's not fair to Holly. I like Holly. I want her to come.
I do too. And of course I do. But she's ridden it before and you haven't. And you need to.
I know.
How have you not ridden this ride yet?
I've told you that. I haven't been on Rise. And I really want to go on Rise. But the thing about it is I have the disability access pass because I could literally be standing in line and then passed out 2 minutes later because of my sugar. And the problem is that
you still need a boarding group.
pass does not work for that. So it's difficult for me to plan
not now
around that.
They're not doing virtual queues when they reopen. So you're done with that after that. So once this reopens and we can get a date where this all works together, we're going to go ride it. How tall is Connor?
Well, now he's 40 inches.
Yes. I'm going to buy him a lightsaber.
Please don't, because I'm going to lose an eyeball.
Yeah, that's not my problem.
That kid is not gentle with anything.
Oh man.
Or he does not have a filter either. So he's just looks all like his dad, but has his mother's attitude. And
oh God, poor kid.
I know. I feel
poor
so
kid.
bad.
Dad's looks are fine, but mom's attitude's rough.
Yep.
What were we talking about before this?
How I haven't been on Rise.
Before that,
we were talking about
guest experience team at Hollywood Studios.
Guest experience, but about how Olga's won't be opening. And
I kill you. It's not Olga. It's Olga.
I said Olga.
You said Olga's.
No, I'm pretty sure I said Olga.
I'm pretty sure. Do we need to review the tape?
Yeah, review it.
I don't want to do that because then I have to edit this together.
Yep. I might have said Olga, but it could also be the beverages that I'm consuming.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't drink anymore.
Mm-hmm. Either that or it's because I just had that protein bar, so I'm just all over the place to begin with anyways.
Yeah. So yeah, Oga's isn't opening. The thing about it is I get Oga. No
Oga.
L. Oga's Cantina.
I didn't.
Oga Gara is her real name.
Oga. I keep saying Oga. I think, I don't know. Whatever. Continue.
I'm just saying. I'm just making sure you're saying it right.
Continue.
Oga Gara. That's her name. There's a Black Spire Outpost book you should read, but I'll let that go.
That's all you.
What do you mean it's all me? It's a book. You read books.
I can't.
You can't read?
I can't read.
Diabetes made me
Just
illiterate.
kidding. Wow. Guys, anything you hear from here on out, if you hear screaming,
This
don't
is me.
be alarmed.
It's me getting punched in the face.
Not in the face.
Oh, Jesus. That's rough.
I told you.
The weird part about it is, I don't remember what I was saying, but yeah, I worked at Galaxy's Edge when it was there. I didn't want to know people. That's why I didn't work there. Anyway, it's weird that Savi's isn't opening, but Droid Depot is, because it makes no sense. Because when you go into Savi's workshop, that's when you do the make your own lightsaber thing.
Ah.
That's Savi's. That's why. So it's they hand you a tray of things and they let you pick from a tray of what you want. And then they take the tray back from you. So they could easily sanitize the piece, like when you're done, when you pick because there's extra so you can customize it, right? Droid Depot is the opposite. So Droid Depot is a conveyor belt of parts that kids pick up, put back down, pick up, put back down. Mm-hmm. So it's very strange to me that they're opening. Exactly. There's a lot of people touching parts and that kind of stuff. So I find it odd. The only reason I kind of go, that's why they're not opening Savi's is because there's a performer in the middle of the room. They don't want to pay him when no one's there. That's the only thing I can think of as to why Savi's wouldn't open up, but Droid Depot would. All right, enough of this Star Wars talk. I can see your eyes glazing over. I can feel the tension in the room rising. You hate me now. Got it. All right. Moving on to the next topic of discussions. We're going to do it. Moving on to the next topic of discussion. This is something I saw pop up on Inside the Magic's Facebook group. I don't know why I'm still in there. But this is something actually I brought up on a podcast. I'm sure you can find it when the whole controversy about Red the Pirate came out.
Mm-hmm. I like this one.
This is something that I brought up and I brought it up in like well, that's here, so why are you complaining about this when that's here?
Right.
But I'm now finding myself defending the thing I brought up.
Funny how that works.
So this is the discussion that I think is a good discussion for us. Should the Walt Disney Company remove the swinging body from the Haunted Mansion?
No.
I agree with you 1,000,000%. What is your reasoning behind it?
Well, first of all,
don't use my reasons.
I'm so sorry. First of all, I will fully admit to this because I told you last week, Haunted Mansion is my favorite attraction.
Mine too. Number one.
Absolutely love it. I can never, ever miss it. I don't even think I realized that hanging body was there until I was like 25 years old. So I don't necessarily think that kids are... And I think people are doing it just because it's just so dark, to begin with, obviously, to have a hanging body up there. But I didn't even realize it until I started working for Disney, to where I was like, oh, someone hung themselves up there. Like, wow, look at that. And then you literally are out of stretch and you're into merge. So, like, I think that it goes with the theming. You're looking at all of these other ways that these people could die when you're in stretch and, the crocodiles and everything else like that. Like,
yeah.
Where does it stop once you start doing that?
Yep. That's my argument too. It's like, I had a back and forth with a dude on Twitter who I used to work with. And we had talked about this before too. Like his argument is it's not necessary to tell the story. I agree that the hanging body isn't a story point, but it does set the tone for the attraction. And it's the first thing you see when you're actually a part of the attraction, right? You get the swinging body and then like the joke of like, oh, I didn't mean to frighten you prematurely. The real chills come later. Now look alive. And you get the whole little spiel. You get the tone of it. You could nitpick every single thing in that at Disney World.
Yeah.
I thought of more examples too. So the examples I gave him were, okay, so let's say you're sitting out. He goes, his name is Daniel. He's on Instagram. He's a great guy. I understand his point, and he understood my point. We just see it differently, right? It's okay to disagree. We're still friends, whatever. He was saying, what if you're in the attraction and you are triggered by the sight of the hanging body and someone in your family had done that?
That can happen anywhere.
That can happen anywhere. I said, okay, what if you're watching the fireworks and Tink comes down on a zip line and you remember, oh, my friend or my cousin died on a Jamaican zip lining trip. Like,
yeah,
at a certain point, you just gotta realize that reality is reality.
Right.
There's only so many things we can do before there's no Disney World.
Right.
What if you're on test track and you remember that your cousin died in a car accident going 65 miles an hour? Come on.
But see, here's the thing. It's so funny that you say that because so I was actually in a head-on accident I was driving a Civic and the guy hit me head-on in a 40-mile-an-hour crash. He was drunk and I was literally going to McDonald's because I wanted chicken nuggets.
Because you were also drunk going to
No,
McDonald's?
I wasn't. This was in the middle of the day. It was like 1 o'clock, and he
Okay.
was coming from watching football playoffs. It was in January. So he was coming from watching the playoffs, and he hit me head on in a 40-mile-an-hour crash. And the first time that I rode test track, after that, the part with the semi-truck, I literally had a panic attack for the rest of test track, but it was something that I just had to get over. I'm like, well, I'm not just going to not ride it. Like, I just need to know that it's coming and I need to close my eyes or I need to do something like that. Like, people need to find their inner ways to deal with things. So I just, I think that obviously if someone is triggered from Haunted Mansion with having someone that they know who had committed suicide that way or something like that, I feel like if you know that it's there and you know it's going to trigger you, maybe it's something you shouldn't do.
Or
you should avoid your triggers or
talk to the cast members.
Or don't look up.
Yeah.
Like
just
from the time that I was itty bitty until I turned 25, I just didn't look up and I was fine. And even after that,
Yeah. It's a weird thing to nitpick. And,
yes.
and like we said before too, like
and
what if you're a soldier?
I don't mean to sound insensitive.
But there's a certain amount of, and this is going to sound insensitive, but and I don't mean it this way. At a certain point, it's on you.
Right.
It's your issue. And I know that sounds harsh and callous, but it is.
Right.
I mean, in the same way that it's your issue to have a wheelchair when you get to the park.
Right.
That's your issue. If you're sensitive to these things, that's fine.
But
you don't get to ruin everyone else's experience because you're having a rough go.
Exactly.
I've been depressed before. I'm just gonna say it, and I'll edit it out. Let me do 5, 8, 3rd track. I tried to kill myself once by hanging.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't work. Thank God. It was from a ceiling fan. That's why I started doing stand-up, because I thought it was so stupid that I was such a fucking loser I couldn't even kill myself.
Okay, well.
I have a connection to this thing, and I go, you can get over it.
Yeah.
You're going to be fine. Even if you do see it, you think about it, and you move on with your fucking day. There hasn't been a time that I've seen that I didn't think of that moment.
Yeah.
But I'm fine. You figure it out. You move, you grow, you fucking move on. That doesn't mean everyone else's experience gets to be fucked up because you had issues.
Right.
All right, back to the number. So that's kind of how I go. It's on you.
Mm-hmm.
And the story I just told you is, I'm not being insensitive because I've had experiences that have led me to this conclusion.
Right.
Where I go, figure it out.
Exactly.
And not in a mean way, but go. I'm not saying figure
That's
out.
like me
I'm not saying
being
figure out on
mad
your
that
own.
people are serving Dole Whips and I can't eat one.
Exactly.
What am I going to do? Start a diabetes revolution and say you can't serve Dole Whips because
you
people
can't
have
have one.
diabetes?
Yeah,
Like,
it's
no,
silly. It's
you just
personal responsibility. Figure it out for yourself.
Yeah, have your cards and
Now,
have them in a row.
Not knowing that's going to happen is a different thing. But I mean, that's going to happen wherever you go. I mean, you can't nerf the world. You can't. I mean, you can try, and I think we've been trying for the last 30 years as a society to try to get these. Everything's just too soft. It bothers me. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
I don't know.
agree with you.
Test Track's one that I thought of today, where it was like, yeah, you could. There's an argument of like, my family died in a car accident. I don't want to go
I
65.
was in a terrible car accident. I got over it.
It's-
Now I ride test track all the time because my best friend and former roommate, works track and hop right on and
There
we
you go.
enjoy ourselves. But I know that that's coming, so I just literally shut my eyes because it still frightens me to this
I'm
day
sure.
to have something come directly at me because I will never forget that moment. But at the
No.
same time, what am I going to do? Say, oh, you can't have that because this is what happened to me.
You could do that with anything in the park.
You could do that with anything in this world.
anything in the world. You could.
You could be scared of this
I
kitchen
don't like.
table.
It's raining, and I can't handle the rain because one time when I was a kid, I slipped and fell in the rain. So there should be no rain.
Exactly.
Shut the fuck up.
I mean, that wasn't the verbiage I was going to use, but exactly.
But like, you just can't. I don't know. All right, so that's. I think we kind of both agree. It's a slippery slope because if they start doing this with everything, we're gonna end up with nothing.
Yes.
It's the experience is gonna be you walk in, you look at Mickey Mouse, you go, shrug your shoulders, and you leave. That's gonna be your Walt Disney World experience because they're gonna cut
And
everything
the
back.
ticket will still
And
be
even
$300 a
100% it'll
day.
be $550 a day, like at that point. But like, it's literally gonna get to that point where we start. I mean, you could. I mean, should we shut down Liberty Square because it takes place in the 1700s when slaves were around?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, how much are we going to nitpick?
Yeah.
Should we get rid of the sewage in the streets because people don't want to see fake sewage in this? I mean, like, you can do this with anything.
Yeah.
Anything.
I know.
I'm trying to think of something at Animal Kingdom. Like, should we get rid of 1920s Hollywood because in 1920s in
Animal Kingdom?
I went to Hollywood Studios. That's where my brain always
I
goes.
was like,
I have
where
ADD.
in the hell is 1920s Hollywood and Animal Kingdom? No.
I actually think Animal Kingdom might be the only park where there's not something offensive.
Well, I'm sure somebody is going to find it offensive now with Tiger King and Carol Baskin.
Well, here we go. How about this? How about, when you go on Dinosaur and you see the chemical makeup for ketchup, mustard, and mayonnaise. If you're allergic to mayonnaise, should they get rid of it because you can't have
Right.
mayonnaise?
Exactly.
Like, it's an equation. It's not real mayonnaise. Like, you're fine. But Hollywood Studios, should you get rid of the 20s Hollywood because there were racial movies in that time period?
Right.
Like, I mean, we got to stop. And I think it stops with the Haunted Mansion thing. I get why people wouldn't want to see that. I mean, it's messed up.
Yeah.
I get it. But get over it.
Yeah.
It's
You're
a part of it.
literally in the Haunted Mansion.
The Haunted Mansion. It's a part of it. It does set up the story. So I am so glad you agree with me because I actually thought this was going to be an argument. I really did.
No.
I really did.
Why? Why would you
not
think
an argument?
that?
Not an argument. Because you're soft and you're a coward. Moving on to the next. I'm kidding. Moving on.
Fuck all the way off. No.
I'm kidding.
I don't think you are.
Oh, I'm 100% kidding. You're a bad bitch. You know I think you're a bad
I'm
bitch.
gonna put this
Stab me
pen
with that pen.
See? That's what bad bitches do.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what bad bitches do.
That's what they do.
All right. Okay.
Yep.
Stab people with pens. That's
It's
the
an Amazon pen too. It's an Amazon Basics. So
Amazon.
you know it's gonna work.
Basic. Like they're really pushing that line right now. But like every time you log onto Amazon, it's like Amazon Basic shirts, and I'm like, I'm good.
I like them.
The shirts or
Not
the pens?
the shirts, the pens. They're amazing.
The pens aren't bad. Not bad at the pens. All right, moving on to the next one. Disney Dining is now reopened to make revisions for guests with an asterisk. Guests that had dining reservations canceled, which we did, so we got to make new reservations. I got sci-fi.
I tried to get a reservation to Magic Kingdom the other day, and something's wrong with my pass, and they won't let me in.
Have they updated it yet? Because they haven't updated mine yet. Like have they
I guess not.
Mine's I'm annoyed. I've gone to 3 different people and was like, "Hey, can you fix it?" And they're like, "Nope, it's gonna take time." It's annoying.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Because
thanks,
what-
Disney.
Thank you.
I spent $1,000, but thank you, bro.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude. That's what I say. So I'm gonna go to Sci-Fi Dine-In. I'm like obsessed with dine-in or drive-in movie theaters right now.
Dine-In in so long.
Oh my god, it's so good. The
You
food's so
were
good.
you were thinking that I was about to say I haven't been to Sci-Fi Dine-In. I saw the look of shock on your face before I finished the sentence.
I was a little sad. I'm not gonna lie to you.
No, I haven't been there since I was little.
Oh my god, it's so fun. It's so fun. I love drive-in movie theaters. They're
Yeah.
the best. Yeah, 100%. I love them. I just love drive-ins in general. Like they're so good. Like we went to one of the night with the kids. We saw Zootopia and The Greatest Showman, which means we only saw Zootopia because the kids passed out. Because like
The
the movie's supposed to start at
Greatest
8:45, but sunset's not till like 9:30,
Yeah.
and then it's like an hour and 45-minute movie, and they're both like, "I want to go home," and I'm like, "I get to drive an hour and a half home. Fuck yeah, dude."
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to see Casablanca on Tuesday at a drive-in
I
theater.
saw that.
I'm
I saw you
so
posted
excited.
that.
I thought I posted that photo because I thought it was Tuesday, meaning like the day after I posted it, and it was a week later. So I haven't seen it yet. I'm really excited though. I love that movie. Hollywood Studios tie-in, so good.
Great movie ride.
If you could get one reservation right now to any Disney World restaurant, what would it be?
Why are you asking the girl who can't eat anything?
Because I want to know where you would go.
God, that's such a good question. Probably Le Cellier.
I got really sick from Le Cellier once. It was my favorite restaurant at Disney World, and I got food poisoning from a steak there.
I mean, that's the only thing that I can eat right now. So
Steak, meat.
Yeah, steak. So
Well, it's a thick steak.
this is getting inappropriate.
No, it isn't.
No, I really want to go to Le Cellier. I don't know. I could also just kill a cheeseburger, just like a regular cheeseburger from Beaches and Cream.
By the way, you can finally eat. Let's
Yeah,
applaud. Let's
I know.
applaud. People who
Yeah.
listen to your podcast can listen
My
to this and vice
podcast.
versa. So, do you want to say the news here? Or you want to wait for episode 4?
I haven't been able to eat solid food since April. I've been being fed through a tube, so that's why you could probably hear me chewing on a protein bar earlier. I'm very sorry. But yes, I finally got my PICC line out yesterday, and I have been able to eat solid
so
food
happy for you.
since last Friday when they did my 7th surgery since February. So yeah, I would definitely get a big fillet right now, but I would also love to just go eat I would eat anything at this point.
You know what sounds really good to me right this moment are the the Plaza fries.
Ooh, yes.
Oh, with the lettuce and tomato and bacon. God, those are good.
Yep, I agree.
Speaking of the Magic Kingdom, next story here. Cinderella Castle's paint job is complete, at least what we can see from the road. Have you seen it yet?
Yes.
What do you think?
Do you want my honest opinion?
I do. That's what the show's about.
I hate it.
You hate it.
I hate it.
You hate it. I love it. I think it's a massive upgrade.
And I associate a pink castle with Aurora's castle.
Wait, pink? It's not pink.
It looks pink.
It's definitely not pink. I was there.
It
I looked at it yesterday. It's definitely not pink.
Maybe you're colorblind.
Maybe you're colorblind.
Women can't be colorblind.
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. False.
Do I need to get an expert on the phone?
Go for it.
Okay.
We're going to hold here. Who are you calling? Anyway.
Hold on. I'm getting someone.
I'm going to Google it because I don't believe you. Being an expert on the phone. Oh, look at this. Females can also be colorblind. How weird. February 13th, 2020. Wow. Mostly affects males, but females can also be colorblind.
Damn, she didn't pick up.
The primary cause of colorblindness is a lack of light sensitivity pigments in the cones of the eye. This inherited condition affects mostly males, but females can also be colorblind.
I'm not colorblind.
And that is from healthline.com, whatever the hell website that is.
Well, I'd rather actually speak to somebody who went to medical school for optometry
I'm
on that opinion.
sure that it's possible. Why aren't more women colorblind? Because they have better taste than men. This is what I'm curious about. I'm wondering how this is going to look at night. Because they always put like blue and purple on it.
Yeah.
And it does have like a pink hue to it.
Thank you.
Like I would say more rose gold than pink.
But it still reminds me of Disneyland. And the one thing that I love about, obviously, you're looking at when you're walking down Main Street, you get that, what's the word that I'm looking for? The height perspective and what's that?
Force perspective?
What? Yes, your force perspective. And I think the gray did so well with that castle. Plus, it's in the movie, in the original Cinderella, when you see those drawings and those renderings, the castle is gray.
But it looks nothing like the castle.
Cinderella's castle. I understand that, but it's gray. I'm hoping that I will be pleasantly surprised when I actually see it. But I think it's too much. I liked how it was.
So let me give you my perspective on this.
Go
I
ahead.
worked at Magic Kingdom for almost 2 years inside the park. All total about 3 years, but like most of that, a year that was at the TTC. I worked at Disney for about 4 years. It was a year at TTC, 6 months at Epcot, so 4.5 years. 6 months at Epcot, and then 2 years inside the park at Magic Kingdom. Forget. Was it a year Forget? No, okay, sorry. A year at Get, year and a half at Get, 6 months at Epcot, and then a year and a half at the TTC.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. That's the right breakdown. I spent a lot of time on Main Street and a lot of time looking at that castle, and that castle got so dilapidated and fucked up looking. It looked horrible. It looked the worst I ever noticed how bad it looked is when I went to Disneyland for a trip back in last September and came back, and I was like, oh my God, it looked sun faded. It looked terrible.
Yeah.
I think the cohesiveness of having all the castles kind of follow a same structure of like a color scheme is a good move because it's going to set the tone for everything, no matter where you go. Because it is one of those things where you walk into the park and you round the corner and you see it and it looks beautiful. I think it's cool that it doesn't look necessarily like Disneyland's castle, but there's color there. It's not white and blue.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to have some color. We don't know what the base of it looks like. We have no idea. You can only just see like the tip top. But I like it. I mean, now, am I going to like it at night? Because the reason I'm curious about this is because Lynn Testa, who's a buddy of mine, friend of the show, he owns the Touring Plans website, and he writes the Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World books, and he stayed at Bay Lake Tower a few nights ago and was saying that, the light they put on, like the purple and the blue, looks so different with this castle.
Right.
It's not a white base. Like they were kind of using the white as like a screen.
Right.
I'm more curious about how this is going to do with the projection shows.
Yes.
With the Happily Ever After. Have they thought this? I always assumed there's like the chain of command of like really smart people that kind of trickle down, right? I would assume that the people who work there would have thought this through when your entire fireworks show at the end of the night
is based off of projections
onto a white surface.
Where you mix wishes and celebrate the magic. Like
we don't know how it could be lighter in color from the bottom. Like they could do forced perspective where it looks brighter up top so it looks like it's all the same color. Who knows? But
don't
I'm
you
really
think
curious.
The blue is like really bright though?
Yes, but the only reason you notice the blue is really bright is because the other shit was so sun faded it looked terrible.
But when you think about it, like
I'm telling you.
I know, but when I
rough.
think about it, like it's a castle. It's not necessarily supposed to be in tip-top shape all the time. Like it's old. It's supposed to be like that. It's
Disney doesn't subscribe to the it shouldn't look good all the times thing. That's not
really.
Well, they let it go for so long. They let it go for so long, so I don't know. It's a fairy tale castle. It's not a real castle.
Okay, fine.
So I don't know. I'm excited to see it in person.
Cautiously optimistic.
There we go. He's stealing my phrase. I like it. So yeah, I was very. I didn't even know.
I hate being negative, but I don't know. I just look at it and I'm like,
say it.
I just don't know. I'm conflicted.
I know how I feel about Splash Mountain.
Yeah.
Except Splash Mountain's more important than the castle. They could bulldoze the castle and keep Splash Mountain, and I wouldn't blink an eye.
Shut your mouth.
Wouldn't blink an eye. I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care at all.
Shut your mouth.
This is a very minor story for somebody like me who's a dork with Magic Bands. There are a few new Magic Bands
I'm excited
available,
about this.
featuring a 40th anniversary Empire Strikes Back Magic Band with
Did you already
Kenner
order
action
it?
figures. I'm going to order it right after this podcast. I forgot about it. I went to Disney Springs last night. They didn't have it at the Pin Trader, so I'm going to buy it tonight. With the Kenner action figures over it. A new Phineas and Ferb Magic Band. The first Phineas and Ferb Magic Band. I love that show. Oh, my God. I have a picture of me meeting Phineas and Ferb at Hollywood Studios with my son when he was really young. I love it. And there's a few pre-arrival Magic Bands now, including a first visit and an I'm Going to Disney World Magic Band exclusively to people who have resort reservations and then pay for the Magic Bands now. They are no longer free with your reservation, which is weird, but also makes sense.
I think the first visit ones are awesome.
I'm going to get one.
I'm going, but.
Are you a Magic Band person? Do you like Magic Bands?
Yes.
How many do you have?
At least 10 plus.
Okay. Have you seen my Magic Band collection?
No, I don't even want to know. Listen, I'm not Views with Hughes, okay? Like, I'm just Little old me over here. I've got like 10 plus magic bands. If I buy another one, my husband will probably want to kill me.
I want to show you my
Oh
magic
God,
bands.
please don't.
I want to show them to you. They're great. I have a lot of good ones.
I'm sure you have a ton.
I have a few cast member ones that are really cool. I've got an
I still have
opening
my
day
original cast
Hollywood
member.
Studios one.
I still have my original cast member magic band when we
Excuse
got
you?
them in the box. Like,
Is it blue and yellow?
no, it was the ones that we could order. Like when we first got magic bands, when they first came out. Do you remember they shipped them to us?
I wasn't there then.
And, oh, you weren't there.
No, I came down in 2016. Holly worked on the Magic Band opening team though. She was like a programmer for them.
So they actually.
She's so smart. I'm so stupid.
They actually shipped them to us in a box. It was like a maroon and black box, and it had Mickey on it. And you opened it up, and it had some other stuff on it. But I still have my.
I want
original
pictures of those the moment you get home today.
cast
I
member
want to see it.
magic
Do you still
band.
have it?
Yeah, I have to find it somewhere. Like I put it.
How
away
much for that
somewhere.
Magic Band?
I'm never ever gonna sell that. Just like
How
I would
much
never sell
for
my name tag.
the Magic Band?
I would never.
I have my name tag right up there on the
The
fridge.
only thing that's with that magic band is the gray part has been ripped off because Connor got a
Ew.
hold of it.
Oh.
But I still have.
You didn't
it's
put them up for
still the
adoption?
band.
That's interesting.
What?
You didn't put them up for adoption? That's interesting.
Then no. Not over
That'd
that.
have been it. That'd have been it. All right, you're out. That'd have been me. Oh, God. All right, moving on to the next story. There's just a few Magic Band things. Disneyland has delayed their opening due to union disputes. They're trying to market it like it's a COVID thing. It's not. They have an issue with people going back to work. I guess technically it is a COVID thing because they're scared to go back to work because of the virus. But it's not directly due to rising cases or anything like that. They're just pushing it back because there's union disputes. And I am going to make a bold prediction here 4 hours into this podcast. And I'm going to say that Hollywood Studios, it always goes back to Hollywood Studios, that Disney World is not going to open when they say it's going to
Nope.
open. No
No
chance.
way.
No chance.
No
Unless we see like a drastic decline in new cases over the next 2 weeks,
I
week
mean,
or
I
two.
said that.
I don't see it happening.
I said that a while ago.
Yeah, it's not
so
happening.
I don't really think it'll be then, especially not with the rise in new cases. It's just
No.
not.
I also don't see how this is sustainable.
So it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm very torn.
Use your words.
Because I think
Good Lord.
that I'm sorry. I think I'm drinking. I've been drinking. I think that it is. I think it's
He's
just not
struggling
gonna-
here.
I forgot what I was saying. I'm
He's
sorry.
really struggling.
I forgot
here.
what I was saying. ADD sucks. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's not gonna.
I think
open.
the fate of I just think that they need to do a phased opening. And
Oh, I know what I was gonna say. It's not sustainable. There's no way you can have. Have you been to Universal since all this happened?
Mm-mm.
There's no one there. There's no way they're making any money.
Yeah,
And I would think they'd rather not lose money.
but it's
Then
interesting
make no money.
because a lot of obviously the resorts, the Disney resorts have opened as of today. Four Seasons Orlando is open. You know, a lot of these resorts around town are opening, so it's like that's interesting. So we'll see what happens.
We'll see. I'm curious. Weird times, man. Weird times. And the last show note here before we wrap this up. This is a super minor story, but Margot Robbie is going to be starring in the new Pirates of the
Robbie.
Caribbean film. Is it Robbie? I thought it was Robbie.
I think it's Robbie.
I'm going to say
Margot
Robbie
Robbie.
because that's how I've said it, and I'm not changing it for you.
Okay. You do you, boo.
Margot Robbie or Robbie is going to be the star of the new Pirates of the Caribbean film. What do you think?
I think she's so hot, so I'm on board for it.
You and me both. She is the most
She
beautiful
is.
woman on
She's
the planet.
beautiful. Like, she is beautiful.
She's the most beautiful woman on the planet.
So
She's so gorgeous.
I got a girl crush on her
I
for
have a-
sure.
I have a man crush on her.
Yeah, you just have a
Just normal crush.
Yep.
She's so gorgeous. You seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
yes.
God, she's a.
Yep.
That movie and then Wolf of Wall Street. It's just
Mhm.
like. She's frustratingly good looking in that movie. Where you're just like,
Hello.
bite your teeth on. You're like, oh. That's how hot she is. in
No,
that
I
movie.
think she's. I
She'd
think
be a
she's
great pirate.
beautiful. Absolutely.
I would like to see her and Johnny Depp in a movie together. Johnny Depp got screwed over. So ridiculous.
Well, we'll see what's gonna happen. So
I'm hoping he's in this new movie too. Wouldn't it be cool if she's like his mom?
Well, I mean, Keith Richards is his dad, so.
Could you think? I mean, doesn't Keith Richards and Margot Robbie equal Johnny Depp?
Yeah, kind of.
Right?
Yeah, now that I think about it, I'm like, you mix that with a little bit of that,
And you got it.
you got it.
I'm excited for a new Pirates movie. I really liked the last one. I just saw it like a few weeks ago. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
It was fun.
I love the Pirates franchise. I
I
really
liked
do.
the first one and the last one.
I've always liked it. And it's always been special to me. It's funny because for some reason, the first one came out. There's a couple stories here.
I want to hear every single one of them.
The first one came out, and I am a part of a family of 5. So my mom and my dad, and then my sister, my brother, and myself. And I distinctly remember going to the movie theater. And we were all sitting there, the 4 of us. My dad had gone down to get popcorn. He was walking up the stairs, and he tripped, and he covered like 3 whole rows of people with popcorn while we're waiting for Pirates. So every time I think of Pirates, I think of my dad tripping and falling and spilling popcorn, like absolutely everywhere, and it makes me laugh. But for some reason, my brother and sister and I were cleaning the house or doing something, and we were rewatching one of my brother's football games, and we had the audio turned off from the game, and it was and this was a game that was so incredibly monumental in my brother's football career, that he was the first quarterback to come in after 14 years. You know, if anybody from California listens to this podcast, which I don't know if you can see the metrics on that.
I sure can. I can see that from your show too.
You know, anybody from California listens to this podcast. Canyon High School and Hart High School have this rivalry that has gone on forever, and Hart High School had just kicked our ass for the last 14 years. And my brother was actually the first quarterback to beat Hart, and so and him and his team. But for some reason, we had the Pirates soundtrack going while the game was going, and everything like matched up perfectly. So I'm like, I'm in love with the Pirates soundtrack. I've always loved the ride, you know, just the whole franchise. And I think, you know, Johnny Depp is he's brilliant at what he does. Best. So it's just, those are my stories. They literally have nothing to do with any of this, but they're very sentimental to me. So
I have 2 stories for Pirates too. Pirates also. I saw the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie at my friend Tim Moore's house in high school. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know where he's at, but I saw it at his house in high school. And it was the first time I saw a movie where I go like, oh, like acting makes a difference. Like being an actor is a big, like it's a thing. Like I wasn't into movies in high school. I wasn't into acting, and I saw that and I was like, oh, he's like really good in this. Like there's a distinction. Like he blows everyone else out of the water. Well, I didn't think that because I was like 14. You can think that all you want.
I was like 14 too when it came out because we're the same age, and I was like, damn.
She's like, Mom's like, arg. But I remember being like, wow, he's really good. And then I remember a few years later, I was working at a movie theater and I was a projectionist at the movie theater. And the new movies came out, and we had to like make them up, and we had to watch them before we released them. And I remember falling asleep to At World's End, and I think it was At World's End, whatever the second movie was. Mm-hmm. I remember seeing that and then falling asleep during the
second movie was with
Dead Men Tell No Tales. That's the thing about those movies; they all blend together.
Yes. Second movie. Okay, first one was Curse of the Black Pearl.
Wish Evan was here. Evan knows as much about Star Wars as
the
about
guy
Pirates.
with the
Davy Jones.
Yeah, Davy Jones.
Pirates too. Evan knows so much about Pirates. He could do a Pirates of the Caribbean podcast. Like he knows Star Wars and Pirates like crazy. Dead Man's Chest.
Yeah, Dead Man's Chest.
God, it made over $1 billion back in 2006.
And then what's next? At World's End?
I think so. Pirates 3. I think Pirates 3 is At World's End. Yeah, At World's End. And then Pirates 4 is titled On Stranger Tides. Mm-hmm. And then Pirates 5 is Dead Men Tell No Tales. Those titles suck.
I don't know. I love Dead Men.
Curse of the Black Pearl they don't suck because they're bad titles.
That's the name of my SUV.
They just don't have anything to do with what's going on in the movie.
I know, but still, it's just
they're just phrases from the ride.
Yeah.
But I also remember being as a kid, or as a teenager, being like, this has nothing to do with the ride at Disney World. Had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
You know, I was confused by it. That's it. We're done. We figured it out. We got all the show notes done. Congratulations. You did your first Park Views with Brad Hughes podcast. How do you feel?
I kind of feel like an idiot because I know nothing about Star Wars.
No, stop. Now, this is a Star Wars podcast. It's like, what do you think about like Bane?
No.
Darth Bane.
Why are you doing this to me right now?
See,
you're doing it on purpose.
Yeah,
That's not nice.
So when
I don't do that to you on Sugar Free and Smiling when I'm like,
should.
You know what? You should tell me about your insulin to carb ratio and how you exactly correct and what kind of insulin that you like to use to bring it down fast enough.
So
Go ahead, tell me about that.
Do you think Anakin was a chosen one, or do you think it was somebody else that comes on later on in the series? Now, when the Resistance, when the First Order took over, do you think it was like a peaceful transition of power?
No.
Or do you think it was... You have no idea what I'm saying. How dare you? How dare you?
Well, I mean, that was a yes or no question, so...
Fair.
50-50 on that.
No. Have a great day. All right, guys. We're done with the show. Where can they find you on the internet so they can get in contact with you and bombard you with DMs?
Oh, where would they find me? With DMs. I was like, wait a second.
Wait, don't do that. Don't bombard her with DMs.
You can bombard me with DMs. I'm okay with that. That's all right. I answer. I'm nice. Listen, the viral video that I just had the other day, I literally answered every single one of those people's questions or comments or, whatever.
Every single one? I'm sure there was some non-wholesome ones.
I answered every single one. If someone told me that I looked good or whatever, side note, I've lost like 60 pounds. So that was what it was about. But if people said like, congratulations or how did you do or whatever, I answered every single one. So if you bombard me.
Cocaine. And exercise. I snort coke and then I go run.
My stomach is the size of my thumb.
Yeah. It's the size of your thumb?
Yeah. It's only that big.
God, I want to do this.
No, you don't. It's
awful.
Yeah,
I do.
It's so awful.
I'm so fat. I want to do it.
It's so awful. I would just do it the other way.
The way I'm doing it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way you're doing it.
Drinking. It's the 4th of July weekend. Happy 4th of July, everybody.
Yeah, happy 4th of July. I'm really sad that we don't get the 360 fireworks show.
I know. This is our thing. Me and Holly always go to Magic Kingdom on 4th of July. It's the first year we haven't done it.
I hate that because that's what
sucks, man.
We were going to go to, so my husband works for the Four Seasons and he won Manager of the Quarter and he won with Manager of the Quarter, they award you with 2 free nights at any resort in Orlando that you want to go to. You just can't go to Four Seasons. So I really wanted to
anywhere but here.
Yeah, they're very particular about.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
They're very particular about having their employees stay on their property.
It makes total sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
It makes total sense.
You
don't want to feel
100%
100%
exclusive.
I get it.
So he still has those Manager of the Quarter nights that we haven't used, and I really wanted to use them on 4th of July and stay at like Bay Lake or Grand or Poly or something, just so that we could go and take Connor and go that weekend and do splash padding and everything else like that.
Get a Dole Whip.
No, I can't have Dole Whips.
You like.
So now they have to go away because I can't have them.
Ugh.
I'm one of those.
If you ruin Dole Whip for me, I might beat you to death with the microphone.
I would never. But yeah, I'm super sad that they're not doing the fireworks because those are my favorite fireworks. I love patriotic stuff.
It's good.
I'm very sad. I think that's the best fireworks show that they do is the 4th of July fireworks. Hallowishes was really good too.
I disagree on both of those.
Of course you do. You don't agree with anything that I say, but
that's not true. I agree with a lot you say.
But I think 4th of July is my favorite.
I agree with that.
Yeah, 4th of July is my favorite.
It's good. I like the Star Wars fireworks.
Well, of course. They are really good, though.
Wishes sucked.
I didn't like Wishes.
Can we be real? Like, Wishes was not good. Dream a dream, wishes.
But you know what? I loved Celebrate the Magic. Like, I was very upset when they took away Celebrate the Magic.
I know I saw Celebrate the Magic. I couldn't point out what it was, but I remember the magic. It's time to remember the magic.
No, that wasn't Celebrate the Magic.
No, I know. I think that was.
Celebrate the Magic.
I don't think Remember the Magic was.
A world filled with magic.
Oh, I do remember that. That was when I first got that, and that was replaced by Happily Ever. Once Upon a Time, Happy Ever After. It's Once Upon a Time.
They did it
Right?
all at the same time.
That was the thing with Mickey, and he like had like the color wheel on the castle.
Yes, and that's when he was saying,
Yeah.
we can't forget it all.
Was
to begin with
Remember
the
the
Mouse, and I would always cry.
Remember the Magic. Was that just like a promotional celebration,
I
or
don't
was that fireworks too? It's on Apple Music. I'm gonna download it. I don't remember. Brian McKnight. Whoa. That's who doesn't remember the Magic? Weird. All right, friends. We will see you guys on the next podcast. Molly, where can they find you? I feel like we said this already.
Oh,
but I
I'm
can't
so
remember.
sorry. Okay, Sugar Free and Smiling on Instagram and also on Twitter. And I'm not giving you my Facebook.
Don't. You don't need that kind of pressure. Follow me nowhere, and I will see you on the next show. If you really are savvy, you can figure out where I am on Instagram. But I will say, please don't follow me. I don't care anymore. I will see you guys on the next show. Leave a comment if you choose on YouTube or over on Libsyn, and email the show at JediTalkPodcast@gmail.com. I probably won't get back to you, but you can do that if you'd like.
Wow.
Until then.
I
May
will
the
get back
force-
to you if you emailed me.
See, I used to be you. I had an agreement, like no matter what you say to me, I'll always respond. And then it went south.
Well,
and I
you
just
had some stuff happen, so
no, I didn't have stuff happen. I had psychopathic people on Twitter try to bring me down. That's
Wow.
different than having stuff happen.
Well, that's having something happen. But if
Yeah.
if you do find me, then I'll get back to you if you go ahead and.
She's so nice and so optimistic.
I
She'll
am.
see. She'll
but
see.
you'll see a lot of stuff about gastric bypass and diabetes and stuff. So you're gonna have to deal with that. So yeah.
It's true. All right, friends. We'll see you on the next show. May the force be with you. Say always.
Always.